I had Bunty retweet me earlier and give me shit for calling Red Dead Redemption 2 politically correct. It is. It is politically correct. It is not as politically correct as um, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That is incredibly politically correct. But it's on a gradient of how politically correct it is. Now, the issue is I can just give you my opinion and you can choose to believe it or not. Because if you've played the game, I kind of find it hard to believe that unless you are specifically avoiding certain topics, then it's kind of hard to not see the game as acting in terms of the mechanics of the game, the inner narrative of the game. It is parallel to that of our current morality. The only way that you can deny that is if you are specifically avoiding that for the sake of having fun in the game, and that's fine. But if someone says to you, this game is politically correct, and you outright deny it, then you are just denying simple facts that I can present to you that are in the game that contradict the fact that you claim it isn't. Like, it does feel like certain people within the game did try, but I'm telling you that the people that designed the game, it just feels like, you know, okay, what's going to make us a shitload of money following GTA 5 for like 6 years later? It's going to be Red Dead 2. You're not going to make Bully 2 coming right out of the gate from Grand Theft Auto 5. You're going to make something like this. And so that's what they decided to do, and that's what they did. Is the game terrible? No. Did I claim as much? No. Is it something nearing mediocrity? Yes. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not going to say it's a bad game, that it's not, oh, it's pretty, and they put all this time and investing into making the guns look good and the horse mechanics and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say it's a bad game because it isn't. I don't think Rockstar, right now anyways, is capable of making a quote-unquote bad game. Take a guess if I've played the fucking game or not. It's just that's the thing. It's the difference of opinion they can't stand. I'm going up against the stream of hype. I'm trying to weave my way up the stream of pure hype and nothing more than just that. And that's what Red Dead Redemption 2 is, irrespective of how good or bad it is. It is this year's hype game. It is this year's flavor of the year. Of this is what it is acceptable to praise, and if you are against it, if you say anything critical of it, you are immediately shit on for it. But Fallout 76 is the inverse. If you have anything positive to say about Fallout 76, you get shit on. Again, I'm not saying it's a good game. But my point is, it is the easiest thing in the world to shit on that game and the hardest thing in the world to say opposite to that. The inverse goes for Red Dead 2. Anything critical that you have to say about the game will be immediately reacted to. It's normie game 2018. Like, you know, for any of you that remember that still watch Mega 64, Bunty is basically taking the position of every person at IGN outside of the SJWs that are going to be forthright with their opinion. This is the game that the corporate bro says game of the year.
Game of the year!
And they could have just kept it in the Midwest. But nope. Nope. Gotta put it in the South. Gotta have at least 2 chapters of the fucking game based in the South. And it's like, okay, but you have 2 choices. You either are going to do the realist aspect and go all in and show it for what it is, the up and the down, the aristocratic and the poor, the racial strife. Like, you had the balls to put in, like, the not the segregationists, but the like whatever you conceive of as the holdouts, the Civil War holdouts in that the Lemoyne Raiders. That's what they are. But even there, you capture the leader of the Lemoyne Raiders, and is he screaming about, you know, whatever that you could conceive of, the Civil War, of white folk, of the heritage of anything revolving around Louisiana, the South, their culture, their heritage, the racial segregation, the separation that does exist then, not the slave issue, but the entire issue of segregation that existed right Then, is he talking about anything to that? No. He's talking about fucking states' rights. Give me a break. You either go all in and show it for what it was, or you puss out and you give a PC, corporate, mainstreamified version so everyone, it's like oatmeal for everyone that they can all digest. You had your choice, you went with the oatmeal. And I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. One guy's dumb opinion says Red Dead Redemption's portrayal of the South is an actual disservice to historical racism. I agree. But that, I swear to God, there's like 5 missions. There's like 5. There's one instance where you run into some guy, who is like this racist dude that you run into, who is basically like a drunk who laments the fact that he worked on a plantation and he doesn't anymore, and he blames black people, and it's like you treat him like shit. There's one. Then there's the guy whose house you go to, who's now a bum because of the end of the Civil War. Then there's several involving the Lemoyne Raiders. Like, especially, okay, you go to the house that becomes your camp, and you deal with the old Lemoyne Raider who says that, you know, I've been running from this and that, but you'll never take my pride, and he commits suicide. And then Arthur makes fun of him. It's like this oatmeal, like yum yum, guys, eat up. Let me if I put some brown sugar on this oatmeal, is that going to be a little bit too much for your stomach, guys? Like, it is so fucking safe. It is so fucking safe. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, rah rah the South, and like people are saying in the chat, the South will rise again. I'm not saying that, but all you had to do was address that fact, was fairly address the fact. Like, have Morther sit down with somebody who is a state separatist or is a Lemoyne Raider sympathizer, who outright says why he thinks that the South was right in the Civil War. Just give one example of some guy that isn't a Klansman, isn't a Lemoyne Raider, who is not even explaining his motivation for why he's doing what he's doing. The head of the organization didn't even explain to Arthur, when he had the chance, why he was doing what he was doing outside of nebulous, vague language regarding the South being its own separate entity and the Lemoyne Raiders being its own separate entity from the federal government. Like, nebulous, libertarian-sounding language, which, by the way, may have just been a dog whistle. That could have been a legit progressive dog whistle to libertarians being equivalent to fucking Southern segregationists, Confederates. It depends on how generous I want to be in terms of my interpretation, because he legit just went through like a whole string of taxation, representation, fucking libertarian arguments. But that's the thing, like, you're either going to be realist about something or you're not. And if you're going to be fair, then be fair. Like, if you don't want to address the reason why there's no black suffragettes, fine. Then have them in the game, but don't prance around it so much. Don't involve them so much. Don't have multiple missions involving the suffragettes. And people point to the one. There's more than one mission that involves the suffragettes, by the way, in this game. More than one. You didn't need to do it. You didn't need to do it at all. Just have them on the street corner, and that would have been it. But you involve them. So it's like, okay, you're going to involve them, so let's ask the question. Why there's only white suffragettes? Why? Why there's only white suffragettes? Why? Well, there's a reason. Because them and the Klan go hand in hand. They were fucking white supremacists. They were white supremacists, the suffragettes. They were against the blacks having the vote. They said as much in their own leaflets. White women only. They said it as much. So it's like, but why? Political correctness. Political correctness. That's why. That's why they involved them. That's why they don't address it. So this is Louis, and if I was smarter, I would have scripted this video, because when you get to take 5, it gets a little bit frustrating to have to start again, because you've just kind of lost your way. I apologize for having to sit through 8 minutes of previously recorded stream, but it's necessary for you to understand that I was talking about this right after release. Not all that long ago. Months ago. But then I was talking about the fact that the narrative, the structure of this game is terrible. Red Dead Redemption 2, in terms of the morality, I can say for certain, but the narrative of the game, it is the worst ever written by Rockstar. It is the worst ever written. I know what some of you could say for other Rockstar games, and I certainly have my criticisms of Grand Theft Auto 4, which I stand by saying was not a good game, and I'll stand by it because I think that to be true in terms of the critique of that game and the morality of that game and the inner narrative of that game. I thought was incredibly poor and cynical and negative and just nihilistic. I recognize the exact same thing in Red Dead Redemption 2, but to such a degree that, like I said, I believe it to be the worst ever written, coming from Rockstar. The context you have to keep in mind is that I have been a fan of Rockstar since Grand Theft Auto 1. The problem is that in this day and age, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to say that you're a fan of a franchise, a fan of a developer. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And the reason is that to those that find Red Dead Redemption 2 to be the best thing ever made by Rockstar, there's nothing that I can say to convince them otherwise. And with Dan and Sam Houser, there's nothing that I could say to them that would convince them otherwise to say that despite them both being fucking foreign-born Brooklyn hipster millionaire faggots, that their writing in this game was atrocious. That it was so self-contradictory that it is nonsensical. There's never been a game as poorly written in terms of the inner narrative, the morality, than Red Dead Redemption 2, written by these two, and Rockstar as a studio. Obviously, they're not writing fucking everything, but in terms of, on the whole, and they're the ones responsible for this, it's the worst ever written. And I'm not going to spend the time to qualify what I like about the game. That's a waste of time. I'm not going to bother. Because if you're responding to me with deflections and equivocation, you're not addressing what I'm saying here. You're not addressing the criticism in American Krogan's video, which is the impetus from this commentary right here. This commentary is just to tell you that I was right. It's to say that despite the fact that I lost 2 relationships with people that I was friendly with over this, I was right the entire time. Bunty got into several arguments with me and eventually just disavowed me, mocked me, and then said that he was done communicating with me, and did so, cut off all communication with me. And this was the impetus for Chris Raygun doing a video on me and mocking me, claiming that I had nothing to present to you, and that I am just a fucking someone worthy of mockery and nothing else. Someone worthy of your scorn. I lost several hundred subscribers because of his commentary and his presentation that, on this issue in particular, I have nothing to say, and I am not worth listening to. And in some way, my channel has yet to really recover from that. Over an issue that happened months ago, in which, if you go watch American Krogan's video, I believe myself to be demonstrably correct. And I have been correct since the very beginning. I have never wavered in my criticism of Red Dead Redemption 2. But the problem is, I find, I am incapable of convincing people that I am correct. I give off a certain persona that people don't like. With that, I critique games that are something that people find easy to accept, but incredibly difficult to criticize. It's not even comparable to be like, you're in Boston and you're a critic of the Red Sox, or you're a critic of the Patriots, you know, because if you're a sports fan, all you do is critique your own coaches and your own players and your own, you know, the plays in a game. Like, you're never really accepting of everything outside of stretches where you're winning. Then you're just cheering. But outside of when you're winning, you're actually, like, when you're losing You're critiquing your own team. You're critiquing what's going on in the game. You're critiquing everything, every aspect of the game, every player on the team, every, administrative person on the fucking team that's responsible for whatever, for inflating the fucking balls. You're critiquing everything. But in gaming, there is not even a notion of fanboyism. It's simply hype. It is simply groupthink. What is popular? And that is not what you're allowed to criticize. And there's going to be haters that simply hate something because it's popular, like Fortnite or whatever. But if you actually want to give any kind of meaningful critique of anything, if you do what American Krogan did, you're just going to be ignored. At the time frame that I was talking about this, you will just be ignored. And I was. I was ignored for what I said. And I was attacked for actually having an opinion that did not go along with the herd. That didn't just go along with the hype. And I lost 2 relationships because of it. I lost hundreds of subscribers for holding to an opinion that has been proven correct. This is me doing a victory lap, but it's kind of shallow. I don't really feel like I've won anything. Because ultimately, I didn't do the video. And I didn't present it in the preface of this video, but I explained it even then, that it was a lose-lose no matter what I chose to do. That ultimately it was just a matter of time. That was something that I repeatedly said, past when I gave my original criticism. Just give it time, and that we would be at the point where we're at now, which is April 8th, 2019. A few months later. That's what it took to where we're here now. Where anyone that's in their own right mind, if they honestly look at the criticism that's been laid before them, and not even a complete, and American Krogan says this, that they're even in an hour-long video, which long man bad, I mean, already for Chris Raygun, out the window, dismissed. And many other people, I'm sure. But even in an hour-long commentary, an analysis of this game, he doesn't even scratch, he probably got a decent portion of it, but I talked about several other things that he never even touches upon in this analysis. Several different things in parts of the theme, and parts of the narrative even parts of the morality he doesn't even touch on, and he admits that. He admits that he left a ton off of this criticism. He couldn't even get to it. And I can't even imagine how many hours he spent making this commentary. I can't even imagine how long it took to do this. Play the whole fucking game again, record all the fucking footage, script everything out, commentate, cut it up, edit it, splice the video in, put it up. I can't even imagine what a fucking project that was. And, I don't even know if that video is going to go viral, because it's been 10 hours. And it's still at not even 10,000 views. And I think it's a very good critique of the game. Not a whole critique, and he even says as much. It's not me criticizing him. He says it right in the description, that it's not a whole critique. But it's because there's that much fucking wrong with the game. And none of that has to do even with the mechanics outside of the inner narrative, the actual morality of the story, the characters, the plot. It is fucking nonsense. And I'm saying that in that it is simply so self-contradictory and hypocritical that it is absurd. It's been a problem that I've had with Rockstar, with Dan and Sam Houser for quite a long time. And I think it's finally catching up to them and to me as a fan. Not that that matters. But they are 2 multi-millionaire hipster faggots that live in Brooklyn, New York, that are foreign-born. They were born, raised, educated in the UK, and then moved here to be professional game devs. Have lived here for quite a while, as far as I'm aware, but are ultimately 2 foreign-born game devs that... I mean, I honestly have to say, I don't know if they have any actual love for this country. I don't say that fucking lightly. But based off of what you see, especially in GTA 4, and the worst being Red Dead Redemption 2, whether it's modern day or in the past, I gotta ask, like, Dan and Sam Hauser, like, do you have any actual respect for the United States? Not even our history, but philosophically, I mean. Do you have any love for this country? Because it is a very serious question, I believe, is raised in their writing and their so-called critique of American history and politics. You have a hipster leftist perspective on blacks. Let's just be clear about that. You have a patronizing attitude towards blacks. You have a patronizing, utterly permanent victimhood status that you regard for Native Americans. Even though Native Americans have done a ton of evil shit in their history in the United States. An unbelievable amount of evil shit. But I don't see any of that on display. And I see honest contempt for anyone that may even bring that up. That's one of the things that I see that comes through in their writing at this point in time. You've been in Brooklyn too long. You've been millionaires too long. You've been up your own ass and have been too successful for too long. You're losing it if you haven't lost it already in your sense, in your perspective. Because here's the challenge that I would make, and I've said this before, but I say it for a reason. I want Dan and Sam Hauser to do a biting critique of the United Kingdom. I'd love to see that. And I don't think they'd be able to do it. I think, like Red Dead Redemption 2, it would be the most politically correct, ham-handed, if not soft-palmed or soft-handed criticism that one could find. I don't think you could actually do a stinging, a biting commentary on your own home nation. I don't think you could do it. The reason why? Because so much that's wrong with the United Kingdom is not the fault of capitalism, is not the fault of individualism, is not the fault of the white man and the rest of the things that you lay blame to in the United States. All the entrepreneurs, all the inventors, all the geniuses in our society, the philosophical geniuses that are the underpinning of our culture and our society in the United States, which you dismiss and you shit on like it's nothing of regard. And in such a clear fashion, by the way, such an obvious fashion that you have no regard for this country, in our actual history, in our actual philosophical basis. Your critique is utterly nihilistic and just so misrepresentative of actual reality. It is critiquing something that doesn't fucking exist. I'd love to see if you would have anything that could resemble accurate criticism of your own home nation. I dare you to try it. I don't honestly think you could do it. It would simply be the Tories are fucking posh retards and Labor, some nebulous criticism of them and maybe like the implication that they have communists or anti-Semites among them, if even that. But you would never address the fact that your fucking country is currently in the midst of a cultural civil war and is rudderless in terms of values, rudderless in terms of underpinning philosophy of what it means to be English or British. You have nothing right now. You're a rudderless, cultureless, I'm just going to have to stop myself because I don't want to be overly mean in my critique of the United Kingdom. I don't think it's fucking fair because I'm not even British. What do I really know about the actual historical basis, the actual cultural basis of the United Kingdom? What do I actually know as a foreigner? But no, leave it to Dan and Sam Hauser to come to the United States, become insanely fucking successful, and spend their middle-aged years, edging into 50 years old, just shitting on the fucking nation that made them so successful and wealthy. Shitting on the biggest market for their games. Two fucking Brooklyn hipster faggots. I'm sorry, you have lost it. You have lost it. For the sake of being brief and exact in, how I wanted to describe my feelings on this, I'm taking this issue of Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar, and anything associated with this I'm taking it metaphorically from my inbox and I'm putting it in my outbox. We're now done on this issue. Because despite everything that occurred on my channel, with my relationships with other content creators, despite it all, I was fucking right. I don't even feel like playing the Razor Fist clip of him going, fuck you, I was right. I don't even feel like it. Because I don't feel like I won anything. What the fuck did I win? I was right all along. Yeah, no shit, I knew that. I said exactly that something like this would come out and that this would be the impetus to say that, yeah, I was right. And that, this is the commentary that I would have made, but probably would have been worse and not convinced the fucking living soul of anything. I stand by that. That I was right from the very beginning, and that any commentary that I would have created would not have convinced fucking anybody. And it's why that now that this issue's in the outbox, I'm done. I'm not talking about this game anymore. We'll see what happens on PC, and whether they can get the multiplayer figured out, because I've already had people ask me if, I can play with them on PC and that sort of thing, or if I'd be willing to stream the game because, the gameplay itself is not awful, but in terms of narrative, this game is the worst that's ever been produced by Rockstar, and you can go ahead and nitpick that all you want and deflect and equivocate and all the rest. You can go ahead and do that. I don't give a shit. I've played every one of these fucking games outside of the original Red Dead, the racing games back in the day. Like, that's it. Those are the only games that I've ever missed produced by Rockstar. I know this company. I know this brand. I know the franchises that they have created. And I'm sorry, but in terms of the morality and the inner narrative of their games, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the worst. It is the worst out of any that I have played. And if you disagree, go ahead and fucking do so. I already lost several hundred subs over this shit. You think I give a fuck if I lose a few more because I'm simply telling the truth as it is? Because for whatever reason, the hype for you hasn't worn off just yet? I don't give a shit anymore. It's in the fucking outbox. I don't care. I don't give a shit what you think about my opinion on this game. Go watch American Krogan's commentary on this game and blow it out your ass. I was right from the very beginning, from the first tweet that went viral, where hundreds of people were making fun of me, where hundreds of people were unsubscribing from me, where it started a fucking drama that ended with Chris Raygun not addressing anything that I've said, straw-manning me, mocking me, and ending a relationship. That's the cost of my opinion that I believe wholeheartedly was proven correct. What do I win by dwelling on this anymore? Other than to say that I'm right, and I was from the very beginning. What do I gain from this? As I continue to record and re-record this commentary, I just find myself getting a little bit more depressed each time I do. Like, this doesn't bring any joy to me. It really doesn't. It's just, I just keep shrugging my shoulders. Like, what can I say? I say that I'm a Rockstar fan, and it doesn't mean anything to anybody. It certainly doesn't mean anything to fucking Rockstar. You think Dan or Sam Houser gives a shit that I'm a fan of their company and have been for a very, very long time, even like pre-adolescence? Do you think they give a shit whatsoever of that? No, they don't. And if they say as much, they're lying. We're all just walking wallets. And they don't care what we have to say, they just want our money. They want to lecture us about how our country, the country that made them rich, is shit. And they want our money in exchange for that lecture. They're kind of like professors in a way. They really are, if you think about it. Very professorial, you know what I mean? In their moral lecturing. That is nonsensical, by the way. But I'll just leave it there. Thanks for listening.